Hi, Lynn Barrette, licensed clinical therapist and spiritual counselor here, and I would like to talk with you today about another mindfulness myth that we need to bust in order to support ourselves in our mindfulness practice or any kind of meditation practice. And that is that the hard part, and here's the myth, the hard part of sitting with oneself is listening to the thoughts go and go and go and go and go 100 miles an hour. So I hear from a lot of people who say, oh, I used to meditate, but I don't anymore because my mind would just race the whole time. And I would remind them gently that, of course it does. That's what our brains do. Our brains pull up all those thoughts and float them into our consciousness, whether we're aware of that or not. That's what's happening. It's happening all day long. If you stop at any given moment during your day and just kind of listen to what's going on in your mind, it's going all the time, 100 miles an hour. It's just when we sit down, we set everything aside and try to focus on one thing, then we become acutely aware that our minds are racing. And it's hard. It's very hard. In fact, there was a study done a while back about people sitting with themselves, sitting alone with themselves, and how they responded to that. So they took a group of people and they put them in a room one at a time and explained, you're going to be in here for 20 minutes. You have the option of just sitting and hanging out, or there's this little machine over here that will give you an electric shock. Here's how you do it. And they showed them how to do it. And then they left the room. The researcher left the room, leaving the person there. So what they found with this group of people who one at a time would go into this room and either sit with themselves or play with the, electric shock machine that was, just very mild, obviously, is that 75% of the people chose to give themselves an electric shock rather than just sit and be with themselves. And that's how hard it is for us as human beings just to be with ourselves and to become aware of what's going on inside of us all the time. And when we sit down for meditation, for a mindfulness practice, we are very aware of all the thoughts that are going on in our minds. And you know what? That is the purpose of mindfulness. It is about becoming aware of what's going inside so that we can change what we need to change and let go of what we need to let go of. But the key to making those changes and to being able to be with ourselves is compassion. That is the most important part of any kind of meditation practice, any kind of change that we're making in our lives is compassion. Having compassion for ourselves in the first place, and especially during our meditation times, because that is a time that we are being very much with ourselves. So it's not that our minds are racing that is the hard part. It's our resistance to the fact that our minds are racing that is the hard part. So when you sit for your mindfulness practice and you're hearing all these thoughts, being present with them, being in the moment, being aware of all that thinking that's going on with compassion and non-judgment allows those thoughts to do what they're in motion doing, swirling around in our heads. We bring ourselves back to our anchor, our focus point, and we let those thoughts be. Because if we're not jumping in there trying to make them stop, if we're not resisting them, if we're not judging them, they more easily dissipate. They dissolve. They float in and they float out. It's when we jump in and engage them, either pushing them away or trying to figure them out, that's when they perpetuate, because then we're adding energy, we're adding more attention to them, and that's just going to fuel them. So our compassion helps us hold that space for all those thoughts to come and go. They come in, we notice them with compassion, we redirect our attention, and we let them float on by. And that is the key to our mindfulness practice. It's the key to any kind of meditation practice. And that is the hard part. It's not all those racing thoughts. It's having compassion for those racing thoughts And so mindfulness is also building your compassion muscle as well as all the other muscles and skills that mindfulness brings to us. So that's our myth that is busted today. So I invite you to be very aware in your practice moving forward, your meditation practice of whatever kind you have, to remember that piece of compassion. Be very aware of how strong that is for you as you move forward, because it's vital. Thanks for watching.